very, very excited to introduce our next speaker, Mary Wagner, who started her own nonprofit to support her granddaughter Kelsey's diagnosis at the time. And I want to say thank you too, because they contributed significantly to this event, and that means a lot to all of us, so thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'm really excited to hear about all of your success fundraising.
Thank you. Okay, are we there yet? Are we there yet? How many times have you said that as a child to your parents in the car? And how many times have your children said that to you? And the answer is 5 minutes, almost, we're almost there. Well, I ask that question of Dr. Chip Chambers, are we there yet? Do we have a cure? Well, Mary, he said, I love your enthusiasm, but no, we're not there. We're years away. Okay, well, how do we speed it up? Okay, well, the research is continuing, but we need money to fund the research, okay? Where is the money going to come from? Okay, that is why I'm here. My name is Mary Wagner. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, and I'm a grandmother. And as a mother, you do everything in your power to make things right for your children. When they have a problem, you solve it. When they're sick, you take them to the doctor, they get better. That's what I did. When my grandchildren were born, the same way. Kelsey was diagnosed. You all know that story because you've all been there, so I'm not going to go there. But I could not accept the fact that there was nothing we could do about it. So I said to my daughter and my son-in-law, we need to fund research to find out who can find a cure for her. So that is what we did. Luckily for me, my oldest daughter is an attorney, and she formed the nonprofit, and Kelsey's Kaleidoscope was born. Now, I don't expect any of you to go out and form nonprofits, because at the time when I did it, I did not know about Dr. Chambers or the DADA2 Foundation. We began in June of 2016. So my daughter Jennifer and I, we didn't know what we were doing. We went to a venue, we picked a date, we booked it. Now what? We called our family, we called our friends, we put it out on social media, and we waited. And then Jennifer and Brendan were invited to the DADA2 conference. And we said, what is that? Okay, they said, come, it's about Kelsey. So we came. She was diagnosed with polyarteritis nodosa. So that was a great learning experience for us to find out about DADA2, and also to meet the incomparable Dr. Chip Chambers. There he was. He was doing what I set out to do. He was finding people to research what was wrong with Kelsey and all of the children in this room, and all of the children that are undiagnosed. So eventually we're going to form our own together, okay? But right now, we're Kelsey's Kaleidoscope, they are DADA2, but we are one and the same. Our money goes to the DADA2 Foundation. So we had our first event, and it was a huge success. I only expected to raise a couple $1,000, and we did $50,000 our first year, okay? So it's not enough. We need millions of dollars. So I heard about other orphans' diseases, and one in particular, there are less than 1,000 children who have this particular disease, and the mom raised $3 million. So I called her up and I said, how did you do that? I need to do that. And she said, well, what is the DADA2 community doing? And I said, I don't know. She said, well, you need to reach out to the community, because if the community is not involved, who else will be? Who else will care? She said one of the families happened to be a very wealthy family. They donated $1 million, and his friends donated the rest, okay? So I don't know who's in this room. I don't know who you know. I don't know anyone's economic situations. But if we don't get the word out, we don't know who we're going to reach, okay? Again, we started with our friends and family. We can all do this. If there are 40 families here, and each one of us were to raise $10,000, that's $400,000. That's a lot of money. This conference cost almost that much money. because money equals research equals a cure. Without the money, there's no research, there's no cure. So Dr. Chambers does everything. He has touched every single person in this room. He is our leader. Let's take that away from him. Let's take the fundraising away from him, and let's do this as a community. We are competing with St. Jude's, Shriners Hospital, cancer, all the big ones, okay? No one knows about DADA2. When I first started, I couldn't get the words out. It's humiliating, it's embarrassing, and it's hard to ask for money. But I picture my granddaughter, and I can do it, and I've done it, and you can too, okay? I'm up here to ask you to commit. You don't have to fundraise, but maybe you could make a list of your family and friends and ask them to donate. We've had numerous fundraisers, and my daughter will show you that, as I said before. But it could be as simple as a backyard barbecue. Brendan's dad had a backyard barbecue, okay? They invited all of their friends. I didn't know any of them, but I went, and all he asked was that everyone make a donation. So I was watching everyone have a good time eating and putting into the donation jar. And I saw a man put a white envelope in there. And at the end of the night, we collected the money, and I opened that white envelope, and there were 5 $100 bills in there. No name, just $500. So you don't know who you're going to reach, what they're going to give. There is no donation that is too small. We've also had designer bag bingo, a St. Patrick's Day party. We have an annual gala. This is our 3rd year. And Dr. Chip Chambers came last year, and he spoke about DADA2 because people want to know where their money's going. And he was able to explain all of that, and he's coming back again this year. We're having it, and we're having it bigger and better. Each year we get bigger and better. We need to raise a lot of money again. We need the help of the community. Is everybody with me? Is everybody with me? Yes. Okay, yeah, good. I'm losing my train of thought, Jen.
Would you like to show?
Now, besides the fundraising, I wrote a book. It's in publication right now. It's called Kelsey Hates the Needle. Again, you all know that story about the needle. Kelsey hates the needle. I thought, what can I do for Kelsey to make it a little better? So I wrote a children's book with the help of my niece, Crystal Almora. She did the illustrations, and we will be on Barnes & Noble, Apple iTunes, Amazon.com, and a couple of other digital places online. The proceeds of the book will go to Kelsey's Kaleidoscope. So even if you promoted the book, that's a help. I plan on getting it in doctor's offices, children's hospitals, because it's about a needle, and there are other diseases that use injectables as their treatment, juvenile diabetes, chemotherapy, even a simple vaccination. I'm trying to think outside the box. My main goal is to find a celebrity. If we could get a celebrity endorsement, we have the ability to raise millions of dollars at a sitting. I sort of had a little experience like that in Chicago. A designer, Anthony Urso, was doing a pop-up store in Chicago. My niece, Crystal Almora, again, works with him in designing the clothes. He said to her, I'm going to donate the money to St. Jude's Children's Hospital unless you have a charity. And she said, I do, my cousin Kelsey. He said, okay. I went to Chicago. In 3 hours, I raised $20,000. People came, they were so generous. So if you ask, you will be surprised at what you find. It's hard. Again, like I said, if you cannot do it as the parents, your main goal is to take care of your children and their medical needs. Ask a family member, a church member, a community member, a friend. Ask someone to help. What we do is we prepare a paper. It explains what she has, a little bit about her, and then a little bit about our nonprofit. We have a website, And it's easier that way because when you start talking about it, I know I get very emotional. And that's really it. I'm just here to beg, again, as I do, for money. We need the money. I can't wait until the day I say to Dr. Chambers, are we there yet? And he says, yes, Mary, we're there. So I'm going to turn it over to my daughter, and she's going to show you a little bit about what we do. Thank you for listening to me.
Kels wanted to be the clicker. She's been a real trooper today, as all of you are certainly, and thank you for sharing all of your stories. So, as my mom said, when Kelsey was diagnosed, we didn't know what to do. I didn't want to really accept it. It was hard for us to do that, but my parents really encouraged us to do something and to share our story and make a connection. And I think so deeply that part of why we've been successful is because we've been able to expand our sphere of influence by telling this story. And all of us have a story. I'm actually unable almost to speak today because of your stories and what I've heard in this room. And if we could share what we learned today with the world, think of the sphere of influence we'll have over the world and probably the other stories that would follow. So that's what we encourage you to do. Tell your story, and you just don't know who's going to listen, who's going to care, and what they'll do to help get to that point and raise the sphere of influence. So what we did, we started. So we designed a website. If you look on it, it's newviewforpan.org, and it's not a great website, but it's a website, and it's a venue for us to have our story shared. Each week I blog, which was really my therapy in this because I didn't know how to cope with it. I didn't know what to do. I find it very difficult to speak about it because it's my life and my child, and I have another child who's unaffected by it. And so I don't want to always talk about it. So how do I get that message out? How do I make myself feel better as a mom and as, a wife to my amazing husband there? So that's the way we've done it. We've told our story, and we've been amazed and certainly grateful for the support we've received as a result. So then we also started making bracelets, which each of us wear all the time. We never take it off. And it's just, again, a reminder to us, a daily reminder of our cause and what we're trying to accomplish. So we started there. And then we had a few events our first year, which were really successful. We were fortunate. My husband happened to work with an Eagles cheerleader, so that's the Philadelphia Eagles and a cheerleader. We got a connection for Pat King of Steaks in Philadelphia, if you know where they are. They had a cheesesteaks for Kelsey, which was $1 raised for each cheesesteak they sold, and we made $3,000, and that was our first event. It was on September 11th, so a day we couldn't forget. We were a little iffy about that date, but it certainly was worth it. So that was our first event. We'd bought a dog the night before, so we were really tired. We don't know what we were thinking, right, Kels? But it worked out. We made T-shirts to share our story, and again, we handed out bracelets. This was our second event, which I'm an educator, and so a family that I knew had learned about Kelsey. And again, they said, what can we do? What can we help? And they ended up handing me, it was a Crown Royal bag with $2,000 of cash in it that we raised at this event. So within 2 weekends, we had raised $5,000 and really couldn't believe it that we had done that. And then this was the backyard barbecue that we had, which again, a local store donated ice cream to that event. That was at my father-in-law's house. We made Build-A-Bears, the kids made, and it just ended up being this really nice, beautiful time for us to share and again, tell our story. And then this was our first gala, so we didn't really know what we were doing. We had an amazing event that night, and it made us really feel like we can do this, and now we've built some momentum, and what can we do next? And also Kelsey's dance school, again, had learned about it. She had been missing some classes due to her inability to walk at that time, and certainly some of her struggles. So they donated, they had some baskets, and they donated the check to us. In year 2, we had a St. Patty's Day event. It was just at a bar. It was just come have fun at St. Patrick's Day. Maybe you're going to be there anyway. Maybe you're looking for something to do. We raised money with a 50-50 and just some fun that night too. Again, someone actually my dad works with overheard this disease, what was happening, and he said, hey, I have a local event, and I have a softball event, and I'm looking for a cause. can we pick your cause and donate our profits towards it? Okay, so we played softball. We were terrible, but we did it. We did not win, but we were there, and we caught for a cure. We had our second annual gala, of course, our guest of honor, which we're so grateful that he'll be back this year to share what's happening now and what more is happening in the world. Our designer bag bingo, which was a little bit of an undertaking, if that's something you consider. It was a little more work than we had thought about. We do most of this ourselves, and we both are full-time employees, so it's difficult at times. And this one was...
What was it?
What's that?
How does it work?
So a designer bag bingo, typically people will donate bags to you, and then you'll also have some baskets and things to donate. And so then there were 10 games. In the state of New Jersey, we actually had the state come to that event, and I guess requires a license, but they actually came and reported on all the things we were doing. So that was this was our most unique event, I think, and maybe one that we're not sure we'll do again. But it's just a way, again, most people find it to be successful. I know in schools, I know they raise sometimes $20,000 at these events because the bags are donated and most of the night is a donation, and then they just reap the benefits from it. This was the store opening with those 2 cubs, which raised an incredible amount of money, and hopeful we can do something like that again. We had one of the Phillies gave us his suite for the night. Again, it was just very quick. We raised money just by selling the tickets, and we had a nice, enjoyable night with some of our family and friends. Met the Philly fanatic, if you know who he is. So we've had our galas. We're looking forward to our 3rd one in a few weeks. Hopeful to have this book soon, something we were hoping to share with you about what we're doing, but we'll be sure to make sure you see it. Kelsey hates the needle. And so as my mom said, just to reiterate, tell your story, make our sphere of influence the sphere of influence that no one else can tell us we can't do. I think we can do it together, and thanks for listening.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Does anybody have a question? Yes.
A question?
I think she just forgot to say something. So my question is, if somebody has your business card that you handed out, how could they donate money through that card?
You can go on our website, go on the website, or go to the DADA2 Foundation and donate. It's one and the same.
You can do PayPal or whatever.
Yes.
Credit card.
Yes, there's a donate button.
And I don't know if yours works this way too, but on the foundation's website, you can do it from anywhere. It'll work in any currency.
Yes.
Other thoughts or questions or experiences?
Yes.
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 It happens automatically. Yeah. I think it's over $200.
She has a question.
Thank you.
She wants to go around. She does this at work with me
I know, I should be sending you out here.
Girl, right?
You're in it, Kel.
Can you guys do like a, what is it, deduction or like a credit card payment each month that you could set up that people don't think about it and it's not all at once?
We've never set it up that way. We've thought about it.
That's a good
But
idea.
it is a great idea.
It is a great idea.
Yeah.
There you go.
What-
That's a great
You just
idea.
have it
See,
connected.
when we come together, we'll do it as a community.
Yeah,
The community needs to come together and do it.
That's right. When I set up the website, that wasn't an option, but I bet it is now. So we'll check. Other thoughts or experiences?
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a question, but I have an idea. It's my sister's idea. She has decided to write a book. She has already started it, and the aim, as I maybe just explained, is to, to spread out the name of the disease, the symptoms, and so on, but also to raise money for the for our foundation. And I also shared this idea with Brenda, and the idea was, for example, in Italy, at the end of the year, you have to pay the so-called, it's obliged to, 5 per 1,000, so for which you get from your, let's say, fund, you have to pay 5 per 1,000. And for example, you can give this money to hospitals or whatever you want. And so I was thinking about why not creating a network or something and collaborate on it, and in order to give money to research, because if we don't have money, we don't have research. So my sister is writing this book, and I think we will help her, as we are still doing, actually. And I don't know, how could we get it?
Connect, and we'll
We talk better, okay.
Absolutely.
And I'll help anyone. I'll come to wherever you want me to come to. I'll walk you through it. Whatever needs to be done, I'm available, because this is my mission. This is my goal, as I'm sure it is all of your goal to get it through. It's fun.
One thing that we're doing differently this year, which is really exciting and I think unusual, is that the doctors have an extra morning tomorrow together. And what's happening is they're dividing up into different groups. So you may hear about this later, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating what you'll hear later. But they're dividing up into different groups. Like there's one about gene therapy. There's one about bone marrow transplant. I think there are 5 or 6 groups. And they will be meeting tomorrow morning, getting in touch with each other, sort of introducing themselves to each other, so they all kind of create, so that they can collaborate going forward. And then Chip is going to have conference calls with them every quarter, so every 3 months, in between this conference and the next one. So the idea is that they'll be sharing ideas, and it may be that ideas come up in that are interesting, that somebody wants to follow up on, but they're kind of too small to get standard sources of funding. So one of the ideas is that we would be able to support those projects. Not that we also don't want to support bigger projects. So we want to start raising significant amounts of money so that we're ready to support any project that comes out of the other room.
I can yell it from here.
Okay.
Okay. So how much does a research scientist cost? If we were, so would we have a dedicated, even if we gave a grant to, what would that even look like?
I'm not sure exactly. I think that is one of the things that we'll be talking about and considering. It's something that other organizations like us have done. I don't know if anyone, if you read The New Yorker a few years ago, I can send this around. There was a really interesting article about a guy called Matt Might, whose son had an incredibly serious genetic disease, and he was the first one discovered with it. And so he tried to figure out himself how to find other people with the disease, and he did. And then they started a foundation, and they got to the point where they hired at least one scientist to work with them directly, and they've had a lot of success. And
It's at least a minimum of $250,000, at least,
Yeah.
a minimum, to begin, at least to begin, $250,000.
We have started
We-
to look
yeah.
into it before, again, and
Oh, yeah, and
Yeah.
I've had similar conversations, right, where it's 10 years and $1 billion.
And that's a lot of money.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, so this is priority number 1 for the next year.
Yes.
Any other questions or ideas?
So I was talking to this lady, gentleman from France, and they organized a game of what is known overseas as handball, which is sort of a combination of soccer and basketball. And basically, they were able to raise 600 euros. So they're getting on board too with the fundraisers.
Awesome.
Awesome. Yep.
GoFundMe is another good option if you want to just do something small on your own. And also, I've been noticing a lot of people donating on their birthdays on Facebook. There's the way that on your birthday you can ask people to donate instead of giving you a present.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends have been doing that lately.
Yeah.
That's right.
So that's something you can ask everyone you know to do.
We actually had 4 4 of those. 4 people did that
4.
for us so far this year.
That's great.
Forgot about that, actually.
Other ideas or stories? Questions? Yeah.
Bueno, she wants to know, I think another family told about, if, another family mentioned that if she wonders if there's a way to make a monthly contribution that can be more affordable for the common people. Even if it's little,
Yes.
it helps.
Yes.
Everything counts, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there definitely is, and I think we can probably set that up quite easily, and it is good. I mean, people forget what they've donated or bought, and it can go on for a very long time, so it's a good idea.
So I'm involved with the fundraising, and a lot of people do not like to go online. They don't trust it, especially people older like myself. They don't trust the internet. So you can write a check directly if you go onto the website. You can write a check and send it to her office. A lot of people feel safer doing that because a lot of people that I had to donate, they're like, I just want to give you a check. So a lot of people feel better that way, and it does make a difference because actually the last couple days I've been down here, there's like $5,000 waiting for me when I get home because people don't trust GoFundMe and all that stuff.
So one other thing I wanted to say is, Mary, you mentioned, I think both of you mentioned, people knowing about it, and that really is super important. We are competing with much more common diseases where people are much more likely to know somebody or have had somebody in their family who've had it, right? So it's really important that we start telling our stories more, and that's another thing that I would like to focus on in the next year is getting some more PR out there. We've done a little bit, but I think we could do a lot more. And one thing, I know a couple of people in this room have done this locally, but working with your local TV station, your local media is a really good way of getting the word out. So, you know, people are always looking for good stories. And so, you know, I really recommend talking to as many people as you can. And one thing I would like to do is sort of create a guide for how to do it, and also we'll set up some support so that you know, so that you kind of, so that it makes it easier. The other thing is, if you are interested in being somebody who tells your story, let me know, because we're also going to be doing some outreach on a bigger level, and we need people to be able to tell their stories. If we, you know, I really want to get a big story out there. So.
And I just wanted to say too, part of, I think, the reason that the storytelling is so important and an event like this to really make it so imperative to tell the story is because when you look at my child, you see her sitting up here jubilant, expressive, and happy. You don't see the pain, and you don't see the marks that are covering this child's body right now. And it would scare you if I pulled up her pant leg. But no one sees that. No one sees some of what we live with, and as parents, you certainly know. But telling that story makes it real and makes people care.
Another way to do that, sometimes children's hospitals have outreach and they have blogs and that sort of thing. So Boston Children's Hospital did 2 pieces about Vanessa, and you know, that was another way people heard about it, and also it's something that we can send to people to be able to tell the story really easily. So it might be worth contacting if you've had a relationship with a hospital for a long time. It might be worth contacting their marketing department and offering yourselves as a story for them. So it's good for them too.
Exactly. And try to get the book out there to the hospital, doctors' offices, wherever.
Yeah. That's okay.
It's just an idea that you're going to put something on the website. What if we took a picture of all these kids here and all these people who have DADA2 and post that? And then we could all share it.
I wanted to do a little
That's a great
commercial
idea.
with the kids, but I didn't think of it in time to put it on my local network because, again, I see the St. Jude's Children's Hospital commercial and I want to run to my bank account. I mean, that's what we're competing with. So that's an awesome idea.
And we
So-
did that
and
last time too, and actually we were able to share your story.
Right.
If you remember, we blogged about it. I know we're just about out of time. But
And
I mean,
actually,
that's-
that reminds me of an announcement I was supposed to make at the beginning of this session, which, thank you, which is that we are going to meet in this room at 5 o'clock. So if your kids are in childcare, please go get them and come back here at 5 o'clock. The photographer will be meeting us here, and we'll be doing a picture of all the patients and then another picture of all the patients and families. So I'm hoping my daughter will do it this time. Last year, there's only one of the photos with her in it, and she was screaming. So we'll see. Did you have something?
Well, so like Amazon,
Amazon Smile.
We have that. We're all set up with that. And so
I
does
think
DADA2.
Dr. was working on doing that. I don't know if it's set up yet.
that's something that everyone in this room could join.
Yes, we're on there. We're on Amazon Smile, and I believe DADA2 is on there as well.
If you don't know what that is, there's a way that you can set up a different link to get into Amazon in a special way where everything you buy, a little percentage of it goes to whatever charity you've selected. So I will make sure everyone here gets that. And it is, I mean, it's the easiest. People are buying a ton of stuff on Amazon, and as long as they kind of bookmark that and always go in that way. But Amazon will also remind you. So yeah, that's a really good one.
You know, I was thinking right next to Mom, if we could do it monthly, yeah. Each family could do like $100 each month. Each family is, how many families are we? Just here today. Well, that's a number. I mean, it's something. It's not a big amount, but.
Little bits add up.
That's an excellent idea.
Each month. To pay phone through anyway.
That's right.
Exactly.
I like it. That's excellent. That's what I'm talking about.
I feel like it's a little
Yeah.
bit and it's not going to amount. But if every person did something, $5, $10.
Yes, it adds up.
It would.
It adds up.
Anything else before we end this session? Okay. One last one. Hang on.
Hello, hi. Sorry I missed the beginning of the session, the couple of minutes. I just wanted to know when you first started to fundraising, how did you approach people and tell them about your daughter, granddaughter? How did you do that? Because I find it difficult.
It's very difficult.
I couldn't get the words out. I had a lump in my throat. We made up a paper about the disease, about Kelsey, and about what we were doing. And you'd be surprised at the response that people have. They stop you, they understand, they're kind, and they'll tell you their stories. And you'll see that it gets easier as you go along. But in the beginning, it's extremely hard. I couldn't do it. I couldn't even finish my speech today. It's just too emotional for me.
But the social media piece, I think, is really how we've been the most successful. Things like the Facebook birthdays, just being able to share a blog every week is just, again, a reminder we're still living with this. People may forget, but we live it every day.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh.
You're going to find, too, when you go and you ask people, hey, listen, could you guys donate to my charity? You're going to find out there's a lot of people that have people in their families with way, way worse problems. And then you feel bad. So you got to be able to suck it up a little bit. But, you know, you say to yourself, oh, man, I'm sure glad I asked them, you know, because there's a lot of people that have a lot of bad situations, and diseases and health, and you just say, wow. And you realize, you know, everybody, every family has something. But a lot of, because of that, they're also willing to give you a check, cash, go on PayPal, whatever. But after a while, you become numb to it. You just ask. You know, you see some people say, "Oh, that's that."
Yeah.
But
My kids are in Boy Scouts, and we do like the popcorn every year. And this year we went to a house, and the lady came to the door, and we did a speech of boys selling popcorn, and did it that, we wanted for the campaign, and for this, and for that. And at the end, the lady goes, well, I can't, my husband is in the hospital right now, he had this and this and this, he had all these pills, and she just split it out, all her emotional stuff, like, well, I told her this, I just wanted more candy. You know, even she needs more than help than anything right now, you know? You feel like that because, like you say, you never know who the story in each family.
Yeah.
it also brings the good out of people too, because they're living it and they know what it's all about.
Yeah, and like I
Okay,
said, we feel like
so
maybe I just give you the money of the phone.
we're gonna go back. I think that was the end of the questions. So thank you all. Thank you, Kelsey.